is I guess kind of cool because we're literally standing in this farmstead. The biggest deer I've ever shot in my life, I shot literally 125 yards over here. So you'd think almost like these deer are, oh, they're used to people, and it almost makes it worse. I mean, they are used to people, but they understand, you know, exactly what you're doing and what people are, anything different, you know. Yeah. Just puts them on edge, and plus there's just so many of them that it's just a ripple effect. If you bump one, you bump them all almost.
Welcome to Hoyt's Bowhunting Whitetails. As I mentioned last week, Ethan and I are out in Nebraska, and we're hunting on Eb's farm. Eb Terrell is the owner of the Code of Silence clothing line that we've been wearing, and you know, we've been so happy with. Ethan, you need to come in here too so we can see you. And there's Brecken in the background. What does Brecken do?
Brecken's going to college right here locally, but
oh, nice.
Yeah, he just comes out and kills the biggest deer on the place usually.
Well, I was hoping that could be me, but instead it's Brecken.
Blows all my stands up and then
Brecken should be the host of the show. No, so we're going to be hunting flatland whitetails, and we've spent the whole season hunting this bluff country and kind of getting our butts kicked, and it's time to maybe seek a little revenge where it's a pretty easy walk, hiking straight in. But Ev's got a plan for us, and we're just going to follow through on it this evening, and then we'll see how it goes, and we'll talk about it kind of along the way. But the whole challenge for me here is figuring out what is it that funnels the deer, what causes them to travel a certain way, whereas, you know, back home it's pretty easy because it's the terrain. You know, all the different terrain features really have a predictable effect on how the deer move. But here it's going to be completely different. According to Ev, a little bit of the water has an effect on them because there's waterways, but you know, the cover affects it. But there's also just a lot of random movement, which can make it pretty tough.
Yeah, exactly right.
It's unpredictable where the deer are going to be with respect to your scent stream. So we may bump some out, or not bump them out, but spook them because they smell us. But there's no other way to do this, right?
Yep. You just kind of have to, you know, choose your lane and work with the deer that are upwind of you, and you know,
and hope the right one stays upwind.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to go in and hang a couple stands, and then we'll visit a little bit more in the tree. Hoyt's Bowhunting Whitetails is brought to you by Redneck Blinds, Code of Silence Apparel, Hunt Stand Pro Whitetail, Fuse Accessories, Elevate Tree Stands, B3 Releases and Broadheads, and Hoyt. Okay, so the setup here, there's just a number of trails coming out of a sanctuary that Eb has to the north of us. There's a couple of them that come right through this spot right here. That's basically all we've got to go on. There's not a funnel. There's a couple spots where they're crossing this little small creek, but it's not enough to make a difference. They're just coming from bedding to feeding, and we're on a couple of the trails that go between the two. Like I said, it's more challenging for me here because it's harder to make sense of where the deer are going to be and why than it is in some of those areas with a lot of terrain features, because then the terrain has a lot more of a predictable influence. Here they can go anywhere, but this cedar tree is going to be the spot where we hang these elevate stands for the afternoon hunt. I got the stands up in this cedar. The way that Ev explains it, there's a sanctuary in front of, I guess in the direction that I'm looking, which would be north. And then the food is to the south. The only problem that I have with this spot, looks like the crossing is right underneath the tree. So hopefully the deer mill around a little bit before they cross, because if they come straight to the crossing, there's no shot below or past the stand, it's going to have to be a head-on shot at 20 yards. I mean, I've got enough bow and I've got the broadheads and the setup to make that work. You've just got to, you got to be really careful on where you hit. There's not a real big margin for error there. I mean, you can kill them slick as can be with that shot, but you can't miss the pocket. So we'll have to kind of play that one by ear. Hopefully, if one of these older bucks shows up, he mills around a little bit on the other side of this creek. And the creek is technically part of the North Platte. Is it the Platte or the North Platte?
The Platte.
It's the Platte. It's just one of the fingers that kind of braids and goes all over the place. That river does. It's pretty interesting the way that it flows through this country. So we've gone from hunting the bluffs to hunting the flat, and the swirling winds that we had to deal with in the bluff country is replaced by the swirling winds that are moved around or twisted by these cedar trees. And we can talk about that over the next couple of days of hunting here, but the wind hits the trees and then that moves it to a different direction because it's so hard for the wind to blow through it because it's not open. So you get swirling that comes from the cover, and we're used to swirling that comes from the terrain, but either way, we got swirling. Can't get away from that. I think we're set to go. We got plenty of time. It'll be probably a couple hours, 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
So we should be good. I made a little bit of noise, but Ev said the deer are more than 150 yards away where they bed. So I don't think that they heard, the little cracking, that far off. So we should be good. Another one behind her, coming from the right. I still think she was bedded close enough to see when we came in. We got about 30 minutes left. We had a doe and a fawn come to the crossing, but they didn't cross. I think they were bedded close enough that they saw us when we came in, because they never really looked up at us in the tree, but they were very suspicious of this spot. And when they ran off, they went back in the direction they came from. So hopefully, they didn't spook whatever other deer might be coming from there. According to Ev, that's where they bed, is in the direction where they came from and where they ran back to, that there's a lot of deer that bed in there. And we're just kind of on the fringe of that, hoping to catch them coming out. It's kind of interesting here, this setup, because we're about 150 yards from the home site. And it's active. I mean, not super active, but there's people in and out of there. I mean, we were parked in there, and there's a house right there that somebody lives in. But the deer get used to knowing where people are supposed to be and where they're not. And they know that we're not supposed to be right here, but we could be 150 yards away and they wouldn't mind. It just shows how well they adapt to living around people. So with 30 minutes left, we should hopefully have some more action here. I wanted to get this interview in just in case we got pinned down, with deer close by. Then we wouldn't be able to close it out. We're gonna be back again tomorrow. It's supposed to be super high winds. Well, I mean, in the 20s. I guess that's high enough that I'm not exactly sure how we're gonna hunt this, but we'll play it by ear. We'll have a plan for tomorrow. I don't think we're done yet for today, but I just wanted to get this done before it got too dark and we got pinned in the tree by the deer. So whatever else we see this evening, we'll add it on to the end, and we'll see you right back here again tomorrow for day 2 of the Nebraska hunt. I wanted to also have you notice that Ethan and I have these matching hats that Ev set us up for. It's like we're a little Boy Scout troop. We appreciate you joining us. We'll see you back here tomorrow for the next episode of Hoyt's Bowhunting Whitetails. And remember to always dream big. The other one is still over there on the other side.